There was much anticipation going into the season for the Toronto Raptors, but they really have not lived up to expectations as they will finish the 2022 calendar year with a 16-20 record on the season. So in today's video, we're going to revisit an ESPN podcast that had a prediction for the Raptors that has eerily come true. Let's get into it. What's going on, NBA and Raptors fans? Welcome back to Amateur Hour Sports, your source for the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news. We do videos like this and also live stream watch parties for every single Raptors game. So if you want Raptors content like this in your life, then you need to be subscribed to Amateur Hour Sports. Help me on my road to now 14,000 subs. We're almost in a new year. I'm so excited to see what we can accomplish on this channel in 2023. Hope to have you along for the ride and joining the Amateur Hour Army. But our video today is going to be kind of a revisited topic here, not a one for this channel. This was actually a topic that I discussed on my second channel, Amateur Hour TV, and in fact, this is the most popular video on Amateur Hour TV by a pretty wide margin, and will likely stay as the most popular video over there for a considerable amount of time. But this was before the season began here, and like I said in the intro, there were pretty high expectations about the Raptors going into this season. I mean, last season, they won 48 games, they were the 5th seed, and they had a really young and exciting core. And the expectation for this young and exciting core was that they were all going to build as individuals, individual players getting better, working on their game in the offseason. And it was apparent that they would also be growing as a team, growing as a core of players working together to maybe even improve on those 48 wins from last season. Those 48 wins, those were pretty impressive, but still, it felt like this team this season had a little bit more to offer going into it, but it really has been anything but that. Since the Raptors started 13-12 on the season, they have now won 3 of their last 11 games. Thankfully, yesterday, they did manage to defeat the injury-depleted Phoenix Suns, which does provide a little bit of hope going into the new year for Raptors fans, well, for most Raptors fans, to think that maybe this season can turn around. 16-20 here. It's not completely impossible to turn that around. The Raptors are just under halfway through the season. That's a lot of basketball games, but time is definitely ticking on what this season is really going to be for the Raptors. Now, some people would say that it's time to tank. The Raptors are going nowhere this season. Others would say that this is an exciting young core with a phenomenal player like Pascal Siakam. It'd be a disservice to not allow them to try and hit their ceiling for this season just to see exactly what that ceiling is. But that is just the thing about this season. We don't really understand what the direction of this team is going to be. Right now, we're kind of stuck in nothing. And this is the prediction that was said on this ESPN podcast. So if you don't know me, I really do not consume NBA basketball content in any form, really. The only podcast that I listen to, I sometimes listen to The Low Post with Zach Lowe, and I also sometimes listen to The Hoop Collective with Brian Windhorst. Now, these are 2 great podcasts that I recommend, but I don't consume any other NBA or basketball content. The reason I don't do that, I don't listen to anything, is because when you come to this channel, all of the opinions I give you are my views, my unique and organic viewpoints that are not skewed by outside factors, other people giving me information. So it guarantees that when you come to this channel, you're getting completely organic content to anywhere else on the YouTube platform, because I just haven't seen any of it. Nonetheless, let's go to the ESPN podcast here. It was on the Hoop Collective with Brian Windhorst, and it was in their preseason. They were talking about the tiers of teams, what tier and what category each team is going to be in this season. It took them a while to get to the Toronto Raptors. It took them a while to get to the point where they're mentioning the Raptors, which made me think, ESPN podcast, well, maybe they forgot about the Toronto Raptors. But then we got down to the very last category. You know, you had your contenders, you had your tanking teams, you had your playoff teams, and then you had this final category, the all in on nothing tier. And when I heard them say all in on nothing, I knew exactly where the Raptors were going to fall in this one. I mean, it's the last category, but also the Toronto Raptors were a team that really had not committed to a direction this season. Now, I don't think that was a bad decision from the front office. There's been a lot of blame on the front office from Raptors fans in the last few weeks or so. And though maybe you can question the roster construction here, the Raptors were all in on nothing because they were patient. They weren't committing one way or another because this team was very good last season. It held its core together and also added in a nice player like Otto Porter Jr. to help in the shooting department. Now, Otto Porter Jr. has only played 8 games and has always been injured, but still, there was a good group of players here that have not met their expectations, regardless of the lack of rim protection, regardless of the lack of shooting, regardless of the fact that other than yesterday, they really haven't been able to perform in third quarters this season. So other than these factors, I mean, the Raptors, they still should have had a much better team so far into the season, even without any of the big trades people are talking about. We really are better than a 16-20 team, and we should be performing better than that over the course of this season. So the front office wanted to allow this core to continue to play together because, there was the potential to get a player like Kevin Durant, but the asking price was far too heavy in the offseason. There weren't really any big monster trades that this team could have made, and we have a young core with tradable contracts. We have a lot of draft capital. In fact, all of our draft capital. There was no reason to make a full commitment from the front office in the preseason, in the offseason, what this season was going to be. It was going to sit and hold, see what we have, and then make decisions about the future. But as we get to this point in the season, we're almost at the halfway point in the season, the comments from Brian Windhorst, Tim Bontemps, and Tim McMahon are true. The Raptors are certainly all in on nothing this season. We don't know what this team is going to be. Fans are confused. Are we trying to tank? Well, we're not trying to tank just yet. Will we be trying to tank? Does this team actually care about being good? If they actually care about being good, wouldn't they solve the rim protection issues? Wouldn't the front office solve the lack of three-point shooting on this team? And this is where the front office has some questions to answer in 2023. I don't think it was a bad idea to bank on internal development going into the season. A young core with a Rookie of the Year, an all-star point guard, an all-NBA forward, a potential DPOY level forward. There was a lot to like about this team. It just hasn't panned out this season. I don't put blame on the front office for that. You can put blame on the front office for still not bringing in shooting to this team, but then you look at the fact that they did sign Otto Porter Jr. to help in that department. They did sign Juancho Hernan-Gomez in theory to help in that department, and though Otto has not played, therefore he hasn't helped. Juancho has not been able to hit threes, even though he has played, and therefore has not helped. There wasn't that many shooting options available. I'm sure they tried to get, but there was an attempt there by the front office to solve that problem. In terms of rim protection, well, the front office bet on the defensive schemes that worked last season that aren't working this season, and they also banked on Christian Koloko. Well, they really gambled on him to be a lot further along than expected, and though he is further along than expected, even though he had a great game yesterday against DeAndre Ayton and the Suns, it's clear as though he's not quite at the NBA level. So it's not like the front office did nothing. They banked on internal development. They tried to sign shooters. They tried to add in with the rim protection. Those things just haven't quite panned out this season. It's time to address that this team is stuck in the middle of nowhere. They're in this purgatory in the NBA where they're not really good enough to maybe even make the playoffs, let alone win a series, but they're not really bad enough to tank at this point either. So I don't like this current position here. I very much don't like it because the Raptors needed 27 turnovers to force 27 turnovers yesterday to get over the line against the Phoenix Suns, because other than those turnovers, the offense wasn't fantastic other than Trent, who was fantastic, and Siakam, who was just, casually dropping 25, 26 points per game. And then on the defensive side, if we weren't forcing turnovers, we really weren't getting many stops against the Phoenix Suns. It's just highlighting again the glaring issues that this team has. So instead of being stuck, now this isn't going to be an immediate thing, but the front office early on in 2023 needs to make a decision about what this team is going to be this season, because I was going into the season with high expectations. When they said the Raptors stuck, I'm like, kind of. We have the ability to commit. We have the ability to not commit and go in the other direction, but this is still going to be a good team. Well, we haven't been that good team. We are stuck in the middle of nowhere, and it's time for the front office to address that and decide where this team is going. The Raptors currently are not tanking. Their schedule, there's potential for some wins. Not early on in January, but as we get into the middle part of January, late January, there are some wins there for the taking. There's a back-to-back against Charlotte that I have my eyes very fixated on, but we have to get to that point, and it's a bit of a tough stretch of 4 games to start the calendar year of 2023. Regardless of what happens, I'm at the point where I will support either direction, where it is focusing on a draft pick, where it is focusing about getting the highest seed possible. I'm okay with both sides here. The front office just needs to commit to a specific direction and stop holding the fans hostage on this team. So If you guys enjoyed the content in this video, please make sure you drop a like. It does go a long way to supporting the channel, helping us get on some more YouTube recommended pages. It does help the algorithm a lot when you do drop a like on this video. And please make sure you are subscribed to Amateur Hour Sports for videos like this, and also live stream watch parties for every single Raptors game. Hope to see you at the next one. We're off tomorrow for New Year's Day, but I'll see you January 2nd for the very next Raptors game for our live streams.